What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about you today. We're going to talk about you, the savvy or not so savvy crypto investor. Hopefully we can get some savviness in there by the end of this video. Hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get into it. I'm going to try and remake this video. I made this video already today, and there was no sound. There's like 15 minutes of my life just gone, and I made other videos too that were a waste of time. But whatever, we're here now. We're going to talk about it now. The purpose of this video is really to just try and get anybody and everybody that's listening to invest in crypto right now, right? It is the time to get in, my friends. We're going to go over why. We're going to go over the charts and stuff. We're going to look at different things and figure out why right now is a good time to get into crypto. But before we do that, I want to just discuss the kind of state of the markets right now, the state of thinking that I feel like the average market participant has, which at the moment seems to be rather pessimistic, right? We can actually we can measure that. Let me see. We can look at that in the fear and greed index here on coin market cap, right? This is some stuff that I was talking about yesterday, but I'll make this brief real quick. We're at a 38 in the fear and greed index. Every time we're at these lows in the fear, you can see it's the colorful line, right? The gray line is Bitcoin. The colorful line, whenever it's at the fear points, Bitcoin's at a low point. When it's at the green points, the greed points, Bitcoin's at a high point. We're at a low point now, you guys. In fact, we've got more fear now at this point in price than we did back here whenever we were at about 93K. We're at 97K or something right now, and we've got lower points of fear, right? We're at more greed at lower prices, more fear here. People think that the bull market is over. People think that we're going to go down, and that should encourage you. That should really encourage you. And I wouldn't even say that people think the bull market is over. Some people do, but a lot of people are wondering if this bull market will be strong, how much more it has to go, is there going to be an alt season, right? Questions like this, all that kind of stuff is happening right now. You know when it wasn't happening? It wasn't happening back here in November when the dominance started to drop, okay? When the dominance started to drop, everybody, every single YouTuber out there was saying, alt season is happening. It's right now. It's starting, you guys. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. Everybody was. And there wasn't any confirmation at all. People were saying stuff like this. People were shouting it from the mountaintops at the top of their lungs. They were saying it at the very first glance this first week, okay? It's increasingly obvious that this is the end of the dominance cycle, right? It's going to tank from here. It's really going to tank. And for those of you who are unaware, the dominance tanking is a good thing. In fact, I want to look at this real quick. Again, I want to get a little sidetracked and just show you what I mean, okay? If we look at this, we compare the dominance here, you can see that there are, throughout multiple cycles, throughout the last two cycles, we've had these very intense moments where the Bitcoin dominance drops. Why is this a good thing for crypto? It's a really good thing, not just for crypto, but for Bitcoin too. If we compare others on a new price scale, and we compare Bitcoin here on a new price scale as well, I don't know if it'll let me. Okay, there we go. Bitcoin is the purple line, others is the red line, okay? And forgive me if I get confused because in the last video it was the other way around, but whatever, I did others first this time, so it gets the red line. Let's make others, we'll make others a different color. Let's make it yellow. We can make Bitcoin orange. Orange for Bitcoin, yeah, right there, okay. So orange and yellow. They're a little bit closer in color, but I feel like it's still discernible. Maybe we can make this one not yellow. Let's make it blue. Sure, a light blue. Is that better for you? Okay, so what I want to do just very simply is explain this dominance chart, right? We're going to look at how the dominance moves, and then we're going to look at how others interacts with it and how Bitcoin itself interacts with the dominance dropping, okay? What I want to do is I want to put a line right here on a weekly basis because it might be more pertinent information if it's on a weekly basis. Let's keep going, yeah. On a weekly basis, right here, I want to put a line right there. That was the begin of this onslaught to the downside. You'll notice that others, the altcoin markets, and Bitcoin, the main crypto, they were moving up before this line, but then they started to move up at a faster pace after this line, right? Things really picked up, and it was good for not just altcoins that the dominance dropped, but it was good for Bitcoin too. My thoughts on why the dominance dropping is actually good for Bitcoin, my thoughts on that is that whenever the dominance drops, okay, it's generally because altcoins are pumping. So there's more. Bitcoin is not as dominant in the crypto space because altcoins are gaining more prevalence because they're pumping. The reason why I think this is good for Bitcoin too is because when altcoins pump, the savvy investors, they take their profits and they take a little bit for themselves, they take a little bit for USD, and then they take a little bit and they put it into Bitcoin itself, right? They do long-term stacking into Bitcoin. So altcoins going up, whenever people sell their altcoins, not 100% of it's going to go to Bitcoin, but some of it's going to go to Bitcoin, right? Not only that, but whenever altcoins are going up, this brings in a new class of investors, of traders, of speculators, and Bitcoin, being the most prominent, most popular crypto, will likely be an asset that some, if not the majority, of these new speculators get into, right? Because they're going to hear about how risky crypto is. They're going to hear that, you know, play it safe, just invest in Bitcoin. Some of them, most of them, will probably degen into coins that don't even last for a cycle, right? But there will be a lot of added attention to Bitcoin too whenever these altcoin markets are pumping. So that's why I think whenever you see Bitcoin dominance dropping, not only is it good for altcoins, but it's also good for Bitcoin, because I think it's just good for the whole crypto space. So right there, white line, you can visibly see it. Here, right, we did have some movements up, and I think for Bitcoin, it was already moving up. The orange line here, it moved up pretty fast. It didn't move up that much after the dominance started to drop, but it still grew for months. It still grew for months. So at the very least, what we can say is the dominance, if not spectacular for Bitcoin, it's at least good. It at least does not inhibit its growth. It does promote growth, likely for months. The altcoin market, though, the blue line, it took off on a whole different pace, right? You can see from here, it was moving up at a decent pace, and then boom, it just exploded there. So dominance dropping really does kick off the altcoin season, the crypto bull run. It really allows things to come into full effect, okay? We're at that point now. I think it's super obvious that right now we're at this point. We've got our next line. In fact, I'm going to delete all these right here, okay? Let's see. Can I get rid of that? There we go. Delete these lines here. Okay. If we were to measure from this drop, the start of this drop in dominance to this drop, right, that took us about 200 weeks. About 200 weeks there, okay? If we take it from the beginning of this drop in dominance to this one over here, that's about 214 weeks. It's about the same amount of time. A little bit longer this time, whatever. There's not a whole lot of iterations to go off of, but it's about the same amount of time. Okay, we do it another way. We look at the halving of this year, which was July 2016. July 9th, 2016, it would have been this week to that week there. That was 34 weeks until the dominance dropped. From the halving, 34 weeks until the dominance dropped. We go to May of 2020, because it was May 11th, 2020 that the dominance dropped in this side, or that the halving happened, May 11th, 2020. The dominance dropped here a whole 33 weeks later. 34? 30, I thought it was 33. Yeah, it's 33. 33, I just did this, like I said. 34, 33. Here, this cycle, our halving was April 20th, 2024. So that would have been back here this week. We've had a longer stint, right? 34 weeks, 33 weeks, 42 weeks. It's a longer stint. Are we overdue? Could we keep going? Could it be 80 weeks? You never know the answers, but with the perspective of how much time is in between each of these cycles, I think it's more obvious that yes, we have consolidated for that allotted amount of time. We're at that area. Here, 34 to 33 weeks, we're at 42. We're a little bit past due to a certain degree. You look at the weekly RSI and you see these lower highs coming in here. You see the higher highs in the RSI. We have bearish divergence on a weekly aspect, which is a very good indication that we're likely going to go down. And beyond all of that, we take last cycle's high here. We take last cycle. No, that was not the high. It's not the high. It needs to be the high. We need to be specific with it. Okay. Specifically, the high to the low. Okay. The high to the low there. We tipped the 786. We went all the way up to the 786. And for those of you who are unaware as to what the 786 means, the fibs mean, whenever you move up like this, whenever you just kind of move up nonstop all the way up to the 786 and you reject the 786 the way you are, once you get below the 618, that's kind of confirmation, okay? Technically with this, you need to reject the 786, get below the 618, and that's confirmation of a more serious rejection to come. But already, I can tell you, man, with that kind of rejection there, it's abundantly clear to me that we are rejecting the 786, that we are going to go lower. Oftentimes with the 786, you go all the way to the 382 or even down to the 236. The minimum target would be the 0.5. Okay, if the minimum target is the 0.5, that's at least calling for a bigger drop than what we had back here in November. And you guys all remember what happened in November, right? Let's bring that others chart back on here, okay? If it'll load. Why is the internet so slow today, man? If you remember back here, right, when the dominance dropped, we had a very nice pump in the altcoin markets, right? That was reflected very well right there, okay? I don't know if you guys remember or if you've been taking note of the emotions that are running rampant in the space right now, but everybody back here was saying that alt season began. In fact, people were so confident that that alt season began back there that you heard people go back and watch YouTube, man. The internet keeps receipts. It's a beautiful thing. Watch videos from the 18th of November and onwards. Everybody, every single person alive was saying alt season began, and they were saying it at the very first glimpse. Once that week closed, they were saying it, okay? There was no doubt in people's mind, right? Some of the biggest YouTube accounts that exist were just declaring that alt season began right there, okay? I was a bit skeptical. I was on board with alt season, especially once we had this lower high here. It seemed like it, but we had a higher low. We didn't get official confirmation of a downtrend. So here we are. Here's this next high. We had a higher high, rejecting the 786. We've got bearish divergence. We're at the right time frame. We're even a little bit overextended on timing. It makes sense, complete sense now that we would top here and that we'd go down. Look at that look. This is such a more obvious look that we've topped than this week was here. We've got more obvious indications on the volume, on the RSI, on everything, on every little aspect. It's much more obvious that now would be the beginning of the alt season. Everybody was calling for alt season once the week closed right here. Nobody's calling for alt season now. And maybe some people are. I don't know. I'm not watching their videos. I haven't seen them. It's not that I don't want to watch their videos. I haven't seen anybody say this. Alt season, you guys, I think what's going to happen is that whenever we look back, whenever it's October of this year, whenever it's December of this year, even whenever it's May, June of this year, people are going to look back and they're going to associate this week right here with the beginning of alt season. You're not going to hear it now because it's I don't know why. Because people are fearful, which also doesn't make sense, right? Back here, November, we're going to go back. You can see the date. It's in the little white lines. Is there a way to make it black so that it doesn't look all crappy? It's like all clear. I don't know why it does that. Whatever. Anyways, let me make sure you guys can hear me. Let me make sure I didn't press any buttons. Okay, good. Okay. If you look at the date there, okay, now it's all black. 11/18. That was the week that the dominance dropped last time. You guys remember that? 11/18. Right here, we were at levels of greed. We were at an 84, 83 in the fear and greed index. Okay, very high. That was back here at this peak. Everybody was saying alt season began. It's more obvious now, right? I wasn't. At this week, I was not. I was saying, even at this week, I was saying, let's wait for confirmation. Even here, I was a little bit more enthusiastic about it, but it was this lower high that made me really believe alt season could begin. But then the lack of continuation, took that away, obviously. Everybody was wrong. I'm not trying to say I was right and that everybody was wrong. Everybody's wrong. I was wrong too, right? But everybody was here on the first week. Once that closed, everybody was saying alt season's beginning. This is the beginning of alt season. I was not. Okay, I was not. I definitely was not. Not that you can watch my videos from there. I was suggesting it could be, but we needed to wait for confirmation. I probably said those exact words back then. Here, nobody's calling for alt season. It's so much more obvious, and nobody's calling for alt season. Where before everybody was and I wasn't. Nobody is now, and I am. I'm calling for alt season right now, you guys. And I think it's very important to understand herd mentality. Okay, I think it's very, very. What just happened there? Oh no. Oh, okay, I don't know. I don't know why my computer's being so weird. It looks like everything's fine though. But I need you guys to understand some herd mentality here. Okay, whenever it comes to markets, whenever it comes to investing, the average person does not make money, especially when it comes to trading, right? Over a long term, the average person can make money if you're just buying and holding things. But when it comes to trading, a lot of people get wrecked. They don't make money, which if you're losing money trading or short-term investing, swing trading, whatever, if you're losing money, that means that you were wrong, right? You certainly would not be making money if you were right, or sorry, losing money if you were right. You would be making money if you were right, right? So if you're wrong, if people are losing money trading and they're wrong, what does that tell you? That if most people are losing money, that means most people are wrong. That means that there is a sense of herd mentality where you can literally see it. And if you've been in the crypto bull cycles or even just investing in regular stocks or any kind of cycles that involve the markets, if you've been doing this for a little bit, you can see it, and you've recognized it by now probably, that when everybody's bullish, that's the time for you to be bearish. When everybody's bearish or uncertain or scared, that's the time to be bullish. That's the time to be greedy, right? It's like whenever we're at the top of the cycle, whenever Bitcoin's at $500,000 and everybody's like, it's going to $1 million. It's definitely going to $1 million. There's not a single person out there saying anything to dispute that. That should give you a little warning in your head saying, okay, the herd thinks that we're going to go up. The herd is also oftentimes wrong. 99% of the time they're wrong. So we probably are going to go down, right? The herd this time around is saying that there's no alt season. There's no alt season. The herd this time around is saying that while we are at lower levels in fear, higher prices in Bitcoin, we've grown in price in Bitcoin, and we're at lower levels in fear, totally opposite end of the spectrum, okay? The last time that we were here, week 1 of the closing period right here, people were confident, screaming from the mountaintops, alt season began. We are in the middle of alt season, you guys. Here it is, the finale of the bull run, right? Nobody's calling for it here. Bitcoin's at higher prices. Crypto as a whole might not be at higher prices, but Bitcoin's at higher prices. I don't know. Is crypto as a whole at higher prices? Let's just compare that real quick. Others. Real quick. No, it's not. I mean, technically, yeah, it's at lower prices. Okay, so no, it's not at higher prices, but still, Bitcoin's at higher prices. Bitcoin's the Mac Daddy. It's holding up the markets, right? As long as it's doing well and not tanking, the crypto markets will not tank as well. It seems to me as though Bitcoin's about to rip. It seems to me as though the dominance is about to rip to the downside. Alt season is upon us, and yet you can't find a single person out there who's saying that. Everybody's worried or concerned or doubting that alt season even exists, whenever we have the most obvious sign that alt season is upon us right now. The Bitcoin dominance is about to tank, you guys. It literally is about to tank, and I mean this. I mean this when I say this. I believe that maybe not now, maybe not even a month from now, but when it's like April, May, June, July, you're going to see everybody talking about it. This was the week. That was the week that alt season began. But it's only people are only going to catch on after the fact, after it's very obvious. And I feel like it's obvious now with the bearish divergence. I feel like it's obvious now with the crypto fear and greed index. But I don't understand what the dilemma is. It's just the lack of price growth, right? That's all it is. But it's going to happen. I'm getting away from the main point of the video. That the purpose of this video is not to do a repeat on the dominance, right? It's to really just encourage people to buy, right? Avoid herd mentality. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to be uncertain with certain projects, right? But it's not okay to let those emotions dictate your method of investing, okay? Let me try and say that again so it's more clear. You're a human being. You're not a robot. You're going to have emotions. If you're putting in $1,000 into buying a crypto or to selling a crypto and $1,000 is all you have to your name, I would think you're psychotic if there's not some kind of emotion running through you, okay? If $100,000 is all your money, same thing. Whatever the number is. I'm just using $1,000 so it's more relatable, right? $1 million, 10, whatever your number is, okay? When you're doing money that matters to you, whenever you're investing money that matters to you, you're trying to make a living off of it, you're trying to save up for yourself and future generations, right? You're trying to invest for the long term and make the right decisions for yourself financially and your family and those around you. You're going to have emotions. It's okay to have emotions. It's not okay to make decisions off of those emotions because that's what the herd does. That's why herd mentality is such a thing, because we're all human beings. The emotions you feel are the same emotions I feel. When the market is at a sky-high rocket point, we're at $1 million in Bitcoin and the altcoin market cap is at $10 trillion. We're just at sky-high limits. It's euphoria all around. Everybody is feeling that euphoria. But the difference between the people that make money and the people that don't make money is that the people who make money, they don't make decisions based off of that euphoria. They don't make decisions based off of those emotions. They still feel them. But they recognize those emotions, and they recognize the emotions and the attitude of the whole space, and also obviously the indications in the charts, and they make their decisions off of that, not off their emotions, right? And that's just to the bullish effect. If you're in this kind of emotion right now, where you're too fearful to get into the markets, right? You're too fearful. You're not sure. You don't want to lose money. So you're waiting in case it drops more. And I'm looking at the dominance. Technically, the dominance would go up if crypto dropped more, right? You're waiting to see if you're going to get that better price, that better low, right? That's what you're trying to do. If you're fearful and that's stopping you from buying, you are making your financial decisions based off emotions. Stop it. You're not going to make good financial decisions based off emotions. I love to play this little game with myself and with you guys here. Ready? I'm going to ask you a question, okay? We've got two people, investor A and investor B. Investor A takes all of his money and only makes investments based off of emotional decisions. Investor B takes all of her money and does not make any of her money or any of her investment decisions based off of emotional decisions. This guy does, this girl doesn't. Who's going to make money? It's a no-brainer. It's very obvious, right? You can put it in the most simple terms possible, and I think it's very obvious to assume that the person who makes emotionally backed decisions is not going to make as much money as the person who does not make emotionally backed decisions, right? When it comes to finances especially. When it comes to love or it comes to pursuing your passions, maybe you should listen to your emotions, right? But whenever it comes to your finances, money is an emotionless thing. It's not that you have to be emotionless, it's that you can't act on your emotions, okay? It's okay to have emotions. You're a human being. Again, you're a psychopath if you don't. But the main purpose of this video is to discuss why it's a good time to get into the altcoin markets, why it's a good time to get into crypto. Alt season is beginning. It's already began, guys. I have a very strong inclination that whenever people look back, they're going to say it started at this week here, which means it already began a week ago. We're already underway. It's time to get into the markets. If you have money sitting on the side, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but it should be in the markets now. If you have somebody that you're trying to get into crypto, you need to call them. You need to sit down with them and have that discussion now. If you're waiting on a paycheck and it's coming next week, sorry, man, but you're not going to get ideal prices because it's happening right now, okay? This is not the time to mess around. This is not the time to wait and see if it goes lower. If you do that, you're only going to buy at higher prices. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but it is the time to get into crypto right now. Alt season is upon us. This video sucks compared to the first one that I had. I feel like there was so much more information in that one, and I can't remember. I don't write scripts. I just go off the top of my head. But I hope you guys still took something away from this. I hope there was some information that brought you some value, that brought you some knowledge, something that you can take away from this cycle, and understand that we are literally at the brink right now of seeing this alt season begin. Look, we've got a bearish engulfing candle right here after this humongous wick on this candle here with bearish divergence. You guys, it's so obvious. It is so obvious that alt season's upon us, and the fact that everybody doubts it just makes it even more obvious because herd mentality. You don't listen to the herd, you stand away from the herd, and you likely will not get screwed like the herd does, right? The herd gets slaughtered. The shepherds do not, right? I don't know what else to say, man. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.